A lot of
Steve, thank
sports
you.
talk today.
Thank you so much for your time. This has been an incredible conversation. One of the things that you talked about is like not having the experience kind of gives you the permission to kind of do it your way. And I'm really curious because over the past couple of years, I've seen like a huge shift on LinkedIn where people are starting to kind of incorporate their personal life into their professional life. And kind of going back to what you were saying, this idea on human connection. I'm wondering like, what do you think is going to be the next evolution of LinkedIn? Like, what do you think is something that is there now that people aren't utilizing that they can, kind of be ahead of the game to dominate the space?
Oh gosh, I would have thought by now some other solution would have come to disrupt LinkedIn, but here we are. The LinkedIn is still, running the show. I do think you've hit it, Paul, in terms of the Fred Kaufman. I just finished his book, Conscious Business, which is just a great quick read if you're interested. And he says, why do we say work life? Because if you say work life, it connotes that you're not living when you're working. Like I'm very alive when I'm working. I love what I do, and there's all kinds of benefit that I get uh, participating in that. And I think we're going to see people sharing more of that because you still see the apology when someone's talking about their daughter going through cancer or their spouse who died or a coworker who just passed away or something like that's real. I like that stuff, but there's a lot of people, I don't know, that shouldn't be here. Like, I'm sorry, and I know we're triggering Lindsay right now because it's like, it's all about the heart and being real. And I feel like in a world where we have more ways to disconnect, I've had so many employee disputes where people were firing emails against each other and they're in the same, a cube next door and they're not standing up and having a dialogue. So I think, this is sort of my wish list for LinkedIn that I think there's going to be greater efforts for more human connection there, than, me beating my chest around, look at all my badges. And the other thing, this is a huge one that's the holy grail in the world of talent right now. It is skills certification, skill accreditation, skill validation. Do you have that skill? Because skills are going to be more important than jobs in the future. Um, and that's sort of my last mic drop here is I really believe that's where it's going. So we're gonna see badges, we're gonna see credentials. And the hardest thing about skill validation is that it's really subjective. Like, is he a good leader? Well, she thinks you're horrible and he thinks you're great. And so some of the harder skills to quantify are going to be tricky, but I think we're going to see some crowdsourced, um, accreditation in that space.
Yeah, I love that. I think like connection is built personally, not professionally. And that's why a lot of people are missing on LinkedIn because they just go straight for the pitch without figuring out
Yeah.
like, is there even any alignment? So
And
thank
LinkedIn
you.
struggles, right? Because the biggest pollution in LinkedIn is the user, right? Like you all get the same, emails I do. Someone did not look at your profile and says, "Hey, do you want to do this job?" I'm like, "You didn't look at my stuff, bro." Like, no, I don't want to do that, and I'm not qualified. And that's hard because you got to monetize with lots of users.
Steve, you mentioned one of my favorite people that I ever met, Fred Kaufman. I